If you want to watch everything great about Blade 2 a whole month early, it's live on Nebula right now, ad-free, sponsor-free, and uncensored. You know a crimson red New Line production logo is Blade-style opening credits. This is making me realize that even as a soup, 31-year-old Blade is younger than me in this movie, and I just crumbled to dust. And your mother passing the vampire virus onto you in utero is such a simple but genius origin that doesn't feel far-fetched. Our mothers do a lot to give us all the good and none of the bad while we're still in there. We do hear the flatline, but we never actually see Blade's mother die, and she seems pretty dang alert after the flatline. Never noticed that before. No lies. Also, this is going to be one of those where everything is iconic because I saw it in high school and then a billion times more, or maybe it's just iconic. But the cut to red and black credits from the mostly white, overexposed operating room and the score pounding in, hot dang. And it's 1998, so he's 31, like I said, but now always adds a timelessness to the character and story. Plus, it always felt like the future to me when I saw it in high school.
I like surprises.
You won't! This poor guy. Poor heat-seeking Dennis. Yes, that's how he's credited.
Oh, that's my heat seeker.
This opening is so good at being scary as hell without technically showing anything. Yet. Even the hanging meat slabs seem to have their red turned up. Solid distraction technique. Julia's go-to, but she's rarely about to feed me to a bunch of hungry vampires. You aren't ready for what you're about to hear when you cross through this door. I know I wasn't. Nor was my family ready to hear it on repeat for the next 2 years. The pump panel remix of New Order's Confusion, now often just referred to as the original theme from Blade, is an absolute banger and it 100% holds up. No regrets, no shame, gonna go run to it and come back. Okay, I'm back. And yes, obviously I had a crush on Mercury that was hard to explain because she's the worst. Could have been the flashy jump cuts, could have been the blonde pigtails. Yeah, no, that was it. But the heart wants what the heart wants. That's not a killable offense, but dude just tossed her jacket, so he can't be that surprised when she tries to eat him. Hey bud, we've all been there. Just play some Robin and have a good night by yourself. Or stick around, things are about to get killer. And I wanted to be Deacon. Stephen Dorff is a presence in this. 90s movies don't make your villains beautiful, alluring, and dope AF challenge. Impossible. Such an iconic scene. And also, what a killer idea. Scenes like this outlive the films they're in, no matter how good the film is. It's so brilliantly awful, you can feel the human's terror, but it's not horrific enough to make you look away. Either way, it's a moment of holy crap, that dude is dead. Also, once the blood starts spraying, they sync the strobe to the shutter speed of the camera, which gives the blood this terrifying claustrophobic feeling. And on my first watch, I wondered why they didn't immediately tear him to shreds, but they're full. From the blood. And yeah, he's also their food, and sure, they're gonna kill him, but for fun when they feel like it. If you just had 5 grilled cheeses and someone dropped a huge cheese plate in front of you, you may want to eat all them delicious and expertly sliced cheeses, but you're gonna need to digest a bit. Also, I'm gonna be annoyed when this gets demonetized, but how do you even censor this amount of blood? Ad-free on Nebula, plus everything great about Blade 2 up there right now, just saying. I always just kind of thought this guy was really full of blood, but now I'm wondering if he was an extra that was about to hurl because the red crap was finally getting to him. Yup. He hasn't even done anything besides stand there and smile, and I'm gonna go ahead and say badass good guy. Always love that there isn't a drop of blood on him. The disintegration effect is the smartest thing they could have done to keep this from becoming NC-17. Lady brought meat hooks to a shoddy party. And a no-look elbow? We're in trouble today, aren't we, win counter? I mean, we're gonna be here all day if I comment on every kill, but so far Blade hasn't done a lame kill. And there's something about kicking Tracy Lords in the face that sets the tone for the movie, especially when she just hisses back like death doesn't even bother her. She's not a woman to Blade, she's a vampire. Nah, strap in, because I'm commenting on every kill. Head spike to the ceiling, the over-the-top sound design, the way Blade fades back in through the dude's skeleton.
That's him!
Quinn is such a wonderfully inept doof of a vampire in this film. I love it. Clearly, that's him. Nobody didn't think it wasn't him. He's the only one composting vampires here. But Quinn still has all the swagger and confidence like he's actually helping. Doesn't even need to say anything. Feel free to cross this line. Again, the ones that stick with you. I could just always tell that this skeleton landing on the railing took so much work to pull off. This is the type of stuff that separates Blade from some of the higher body count action slog we get now that technically looks more realistic. The casual way he withdraws his sword, also the fact that he uses a sword at all. I know we have the comics to thank for a lot of this, but the translation to film is so money. And who isn't down for a Bladerang? The camera shake on his landing like he weighs 3,000 pounds. I don't know what more you could ask for from a character, an earned celebration. Oh, by the way, this is a 90s movie in case you were confused. There was so much wind and paper in the streets in the 90s, just inescapable.
Blood sugar's 3 times the norm. Phosphorus and uric acid are off the charts.
You took this off of DOA?
And if you're wondering why this seems to be the first time they've come across this, well, this. And Quinn usually runs away missing a limb, but the fire really slowed him down this time. As always, the best jump scares are the ones you know are coming, but still get you. Especially for the keenest-eyed viewers who had noticed that Quinn had started breathing again.
Are you out of your damn mind?
A+ delivery, the biggest surprise laugh of the film. Snipes clearly loved playing this role, and moments like this prove it. Dang it, does this mean he remembers his own birth because the virus aged him up prematurely? No wonder he's so ornery. First hint that Blade might be a little more than human. Neo ain't got nothing on Blade. Dang it, the new things you notice when you're looking for stuff. He never had any intention of shooting the cops. Those 3 shots were in a perfect line, center mass on the column.
She's been bitten. Should have killed her then.
Chris Christopherson is unbearably cool.
How many died?
We don't have an exact count. Apparently he used a lot of silver.
Some vampire lore rarely needs explanation, but silver is usually for werewolves, and I like that we're 20 minutes in and this is the first time the silver thing is even mentioned and still not explained. It pulls us into the world. It's totally immersive. Or racist vampires is what? Still love the way his voice gets all demony at the end there.
These nightclubs of yours are dangerous.
Are they?
Kids, don't smoke. It's not worth it. Now that that's out of the way, why are you watching a video about an R-rated 90s movie? But also nothing made me want to smoke more than Deacon Frost. Nothing says I don't give an F like responding to an accusation with a question as you inhale smoke, making your voice quaver with indifference. Don't smoke. So this character is named Cam and never shows up again in any of the Blade films, but you gotta love the idea that Blade, a hybrid vampire daywalker, is super into holistic medicine. Chekhov's anti-theft device. Just from a simple hand-holding, we learn what these two mean to each other, even if what they say doesn't always line up.
Just do it. Oh, man.
Oh no, Whistler left his arm behind. Man, someone should start a channel where they tally up stuff like this. Would be hilarious.
You met Blade.
I gave it a ding, but it was silent. Dang it, how do I keep turning this into an accidental pro-smoking video? Let's chalk one up for never do this, but also this is awesome.
Crosses don't do squat. Some of the legends are true, though. Vampires are severely allergic to silver.
Also, the very clear reason for silver is because metal stakes and a silver sword are dope.
Still heavy. But you're so big.
Friendship.
There's a war going on out there. Blade, myself, a few others.
You talking about the guy from Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place and the oldest daughter from Seventh Heaven?
And I suggest you take that gun and use it on yourself. Better that than the alternative.
And we know how he treats female vampires. Same way he treats all vampires.
You blow me.
I mean, he seems a little scared, honestly, but that's a pretty good burn. Not as good as the burn Frost gives him later, but still.
Don't worry about that right now, okay?
Why?
Because you're dead too, bitch.
Not enough appreciation for baddies who do full-on setups for their threatening punchlines. Murder jokes. Every time Blade hits Krieger is hilarious, and it should be a gif. Wesley Snipes was made for this role, the way he can pull his lips back over his teeth while scolding people all vampire-y. I mean, look at that face. I love this sequence. It's so weird and trippy. Even the wonky green screen stuff adds to the vibe.
Worse things out tonight than vampires.
Like what?
Like me.
And let's not slouch on the good guys set up for a threatening punchline. Never gets old. And the most disrespectful dismissal ever, the one-finger head push. Again, seen this movie a billion times, but you'll never convince my brain that Sublime isn't about to start singing about summertime. Huge spoiler here if you have sharp enough eyes to recognize Blade's mom, but they played it smart with her curly hair from the 60s. Tron-level computer graphics, can't beat them. And Mortal Kombat, exquisite taste. Okay, this I have to censor, but the scene is always funny to me because it's all lust and hunger, but later we learn that these two are actually in love. Don't want us to forget their evil, I guess. Blood God, shadowing, really ball of it.
You hear me, Quinn? I want him alive.
What?
Perfect response, no notes. Brutal. Also, fart jokes, am I right? She was just watching Reptile eat Liu Kang's lunch, so her skills check out. But Blade was just being chill. Even the guy who kicks Tracy Lords in the face has a line.
Hey, hey! Nice one.
Did Donald Logue win an award for this role? He should have.
Hola, amigo!
Check it out. I've got his pig sticker.
And while I love Quinn, I can't stand this dude's vibe, so comeuppance.
Got you Is that a bad time?
It's not even that good of a line, and yet it's still so dang cool. Whistler rules. Neo does have something on Quinn's buddies. Brutal. Quinn really is the punching bag of this movie, also brutal. And Blade doesn't even need to look back as he sheathes his sword. Returning the favor?
He still ages like a human, though.
My only gripe, because this isn't true of Comic Blade, who is a Dampier, but what does Whistler know anyway, silly old man?
All right, ow, you little skis!
Have always wondered if this kind of thing is a problem in the vampire community. Glad to have an answer.
We're sloppy, you got what you deserve.
That is 100% accurate. Blade was toast if you hadn't showboated and tried to get even. I mean, even if their plans were crappy, I'd probably be following these two wherever they wanted. Two certified hotties just vampiring. Tricky way to slip in a gratuitous makeout scene and make it not gratuitous since he needs that SPF. Huh, it's a tooth erection.
When was the last time you stopped to appreciate a good sunrise? Oh, that's right. You were born a vampire, so you never had the pleasure, have you?
Never not a fun time to see a blood purist get their own nonsense thrown back at them.
At least we're here together. Share the moment. Which means a lot to me, by the way, really.
Smuggest of the smugs.
Sorry, old dog. You just got a little too long of a tooth.
What, man? That was funny.
Long tooth?
The murder jokes are really off the chain in this one. Aw, relationship goals. See what I was saying? There's more than just bloody tongue stuff and tooth-ons between these two. This is somehow more gruesome than I remember Uncensored on Nebula. Also, a vampire sees the sunrise in Blade 2 as well, and it definitely doesn't go like this Blade 2 on Nebula now. Whistler's reaction. That was definitely Christopherson's real reaction.
All our strengths, none of our weaknesses.
Very on point that Frost genuinely doesn't see the hunger as a weakness. It's the only thing that makes vampires a menace, but if you know there's always some more cattle, what's the problem?
Look at them. They're cattle, pieces of meat, function of natural selection. The new race.
You know, I was on the fence about Vampire Hitler, but now he's really crossed the line.
You're nothing to me but another dead vampire.
Badass line from a badass good guy. And now Frost is showing up Neo too. And I didn't need another reason to hate Frost, but you go after my Whistler and you're dead to me. Still want to be you just without the new race stuff. The no-look sheet pull still gets me. Blade isn't a guy who acts like he cares about anything. And another one of those moments that stuck with me. Like I just said, Blade keeps his emotions close to the vest for tons of reasons, but one smart one is so that no one can use people important to him against him like this. And no one wanted to see Whistler die, but clearly Blade was not prepared for this. Fun fact, that plant is also a hybrid. The leaves and the flowers are from different plants. And clearly he's symbolically cutting his ties to his past by literally severing the plant's roots, a reminder that he can't care about anyone.
Transmitted
I'll tell you what we are, sister. We're the top of the f***ing food chain.
Bro eats this role up, constantly caught between admiring Frost and recoiling in fear.
You like the
Yeah, you
sword,
have the sword,
exactly.
shit, yeah, you can throw it in the air,
He
catch
throws
it underneath.
exactly
Yeah,
like
shut the f*** up.
He's such a jerk, but you can't help but love him. So hallways have always been awesome spots for movie fights. Also, Wesley Snipes has been doing martial arts since he was a kid, and his very real skill is probably the main reason I was so obsessed with Blade. It's also probably Snipes' most impressive skill, but as Blade is just another part of who he is. Wow, Karen has a bit of a twisted side, huh? That is disgusting. And awesome, that is disgusting. Yeah, that'd be a trip. And it's the only reason Blade would ever walk over with his back to the door. Honestly, smart gambit, Frost.
Finally being reunited with your mother and you act like this?
It just doesn't get any more smug than Deacon Frost. I'm finally realizing that Mercury has a lot of pure white fits. Just a fun character detail. I especially love it here because everyone else is wearing black. Also the score here, it already sounds epic, and then without sounding cheesy, the organ adds a classic monster movie feel to it.
Thanks.
These guys are such buddies. Helpfulness.
Hold out your arm, Quinn.
They're like all better.
Hold out your arm. Just kidding.
These buddies. What a sadistic freak. Also, Quinn has the most beautiful hair. I can't believe he kept it in braids all this time.
Tell me, Karen, do you ever have second thoughts about us?
Zombie vampires only want one thing, and it's disgusting. Still, tight callback, Kurt.
You ever have second thoughts about us?
Wesley Snipes' workout routine. Believe me, I don't want this to be a win, but this is definitely supposed to creep us out, and it's doing that. I'm officially creeped out. Vampire or not, that is your son, ma'am. Not your stepson, no washing machines to get stuck in, it's your bio son. Add that to the list of rather be deads.
The blood god? That's nothing more than a fairy tale.
It's cute that even undead immortals who literally explode at the beach doubt the lore. If your movie doesn't have an attractive blonde lady kicking a sword through a vampire into a wall, why even bother?
I'm gonna be naughty. I'm gonna be a naughty vampire god.
You could definitely read this line in the script and think, this is ridiculous, who wrote this? And then you see Donald Logue say it and it totally makes sense, even if you can read Deacon's facial expression that clearly says, well, one of us will be. Stephen Dorff's workout routine. Not a first for me, she's actually saying don't stop, and all these years I thought it was just stop. Guess that's self-sacrifice. The Blade power-up. It becomes a staple of the series, but this first time is just beast mode. It's never said explicitly, but it's implied that his serum keeps him at like 75% capacity at all times. It doesn't quite fill that need, so when he gets the real deal, he's unstoppable. Look at his little jump into the center.
I must release you.
Kudos to our guy. Wouldn't be an easy thing, although you got the Oedipal thing backwards. Yes, now we're cooking with bats.
Deacon? Not anymore.
Badass bad guy. Whoops, way better badass good guy. Perfect death for Quinn. Such a doofus, not even the slightest challenge to it. And you know Blade means business when he gets his Sonny's back. Coolest 90s guy ever? Coolest 90s guy ever. What? He just throat ripped that dude, and then threw the ripped throat at the next henchman. That alone makes this baller movie worth watching. No, not Mercury. Sorry, I mean, yay, the good guys are winning. Also, thanks, Whistler. So many spin kicks. I love it and I never want it to end. Why aren't all movies Blade? Also this right here, the camera jerks forward and then like elastics back like it's moving with the kick. This is how you film fight scenes. Dang, he's so cool. He keeps upping his badassery badass good guy. Also, if you thought this was unintentionally over the top or accidentally funny, you need to watch this movie again. Half a Naruto run. I'll be honest, this one was tough for me because Deacon is using a more traditional curved katana, which I'm always gonna have a soft spot over a straight sword. What the? Yeah, what he said. That's nuts. Also takes your breath away censoring. Also, Blade initially does his I'm too cool turnaround only to be surprised. There was an entire subplot where Blade's sword was passed down from Whistler, who was the OG hunter a la Van Helsing, and the sword had killed La Magra 1,000 years ago, and this is just way better. Blade gets caught obviously, but for the most part he's pretty unbeatable, which I love, but to finally meet his match ups the stakes and makes him solve it in a different way.
Nice shot.
Compliments. Also the fulfillment of Chekhov's anti-theft device.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Hell yeah. Wait, what? What is that even? Ew, how very Akira of him. Well, technically very Tetsuo of him. Also kind of love that Blade would have been screwed had he not saved Karen since she invented this. And still not a drop of blood on him.
It's not over.
You're damn right it's not. Yep. Epic ending, but the original, and I'm not joking, had Mr. Morbentime himself, Chaz Michaels Morbius, showing up at the very end. And let's be real, it's the crossover we all need.
Oh yeah? Then you're back on the clock.
Blade was way ahead of its time. The action, the excessive gore, the humor, I think we forget how funny this movie is, and the style, my goodness, the style. Pseudo-gothic techno mixed with Afrofuturism, it's just so on point. Even some of the visual effects that are laughable in 2023 end up feeling campy in a way that works perfectly for the film. And an R-rated comic book superhero movie that was Marvel's first real success. And most of the audience had no clue. Even more interestingly is how far this movie didn't stray from the comics. There's some notable differences. Deacon Frost was originally the doctor delivering Blade and killed Blade's mom. Also, Blade really hates Dracula, but that comes later. Glad he was left out of this one, even if Deacon does try to become a literal vampire god. I won't get too much into the comic stuff because there's a chance the reboot will delve into it. But this one, from 1998, kind of reinvented the vampire genre. For the most part, it sucked out all the gothic stuff and updated it to, well, modern times. And I love that Deacon and his crew aren't in the shadows hiding down in the sewers. They're in a high-rise with an infinity pool. Blade is the one meditating in an old warehouse. And even beyond that, the division between the vampire ranks, with the old guard, pure-blood fascists in charge of the world getting taken out by this, like, grassroots movement. But surprise, surprise, Deacon isn't really any better. He's not doing it for the people, the turned vampires versus the purebloods. He's doing it to become the blood god. Simple yet elegant, one of my favorite villains. And I have to talk about it again, the sprinkler scene. There are plenty of films that are way better than Blade, and yet very few of them will ever have a moment as iconic or memorable as that scene. It's the scene we all talked about in school the fall after that movie came out. I hadn't seen it, but that one kid, Nick Johnson, had, and even his over-the-top description barely did it justice. It is perfect. You might not remember anything else about this film, but you remember the bloodbath rave. There are some weaker characters here and there, but nothing that hurts the movie. Although it wouldn't even matter because there's just no ignoring the Dorfmeister. I will always believe Stephen Dorff should be a bona fide A-lister, but when you listen to him talk, even about this role, he just doesn't seem to care for movies that, his words, lots of people will watch. He'd rather make something 10 people love than something 100 people just like. But he kills it in this role. All the sex appeal and Gen X nihilism of Christian Slater, the self-important hubris of Ethan Hawke, while still being genuinely scary. It makes sense that David Goyer took the antagonist in such a different direction in the next film, because I'm not sure anyone could do this better than MC Dorfman. I'll have more to say about Chris Christopherson and Wesley Snipes as we move through this trilogy, but let me just say this. These films owe absolutely everything to those two men. Wesley has that everyman quietness that was popular in the 90s, but he also went there when he wanted to or the moment called for it. It's weird to think that he and Dorff only share 2 scenes when the entire movie feels like one big face-off between them. Speaks to their presence. And Christopherson is just, he's just a legend. And no spoilers, but everything great about Blade 2 is up on Nebula a full month early, so if you sign up with my link, you can watch it right this very second, ad-free, sponsor-free, you can even download it if you want. Where else are you gonna hear someone say nice things about the Blood Pack? We're also doing another short run of lifetime memberships if you want to take advantage of that. Pay once, watch my exclusives forever, as well as a bunch of other creators' exclusives. We're making Nebula the home for prestige content, not just another place for YouTube videos. I was just skimming through some of the newest Nebula originals, and Lindsay just did a Jurassic Park video where I was like, oh, let's see what that's about. And then an hour had gone by and I realized I'd watched the whole thing. She goes through the history of dinosaurs and what led up to the movie, as well as author Michael Crichton's backstory. Just go watch it. It's great. And by getting a lifetime pass, you help us make more prestige content, but it's not for everyone, and by using my link, you can get 40% off an annual subscription, which is an amazing deal, a little over $2.50 a month. And with either way of signing up, you get access to classes as well, where you can learn how to go viral with maps from the guy who's perfected it, Joseph from Real Life Lore. There's a bunch of stuff that will interest you on Nebula, and we're adding to it every day, so sign up, I know you'll love it.
Do watercolors. Do you? Let me show you something. I call that one Old Greg. I did it in that one. I call that one Old Greg. And this one, do you know what I call that one?
Old Greg.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.